Hey, everybody, we're live. Jesse Dobeck here. Welcome to the Beyond Big Influence show. And I have a special guest today, one of my really good buddies that I met about 5 years ago. Brad Hart is with us today. And Brad has a lot of experience as an entrepreneur over 20 years. We're going to get in. You're going to hear his story in just a second. We're going to talk about that. He's worked with some huge influencers out there, people like Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. He's got his own mastermind. He's been doing things all over the world. We'll let him talk about that, but he's been influencing people. So if you're out there right now and you're tuning in from somewhere outside the US, I mean, me and him, we're in San Diego, but if you're outside of where we're at, make sure you drop a comment. Make sure you like this. Make sure you share this out, because this is going to be a very inspirational story. Now, when I have people on here, I have them on for a reason on the show, Brad, and we're really excited to dig in. And, you know, if there's anything off limits, let me know, but I'm going to dive in a little bit to who you are, pull some things out of you, maybe that you've never shared before, and push myself to the limits here today on the show. So if that's cool with you, we're going to rock and roll.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. I'm so grateful, everybody listening around the world, to be here and to share my story and to share hopefully some things that'll be useful for you right away.
Absolutely. So Brad, one thing that we talk about, and I remember when I first met you, it was like Alex Mondosian's Mastermind in San Diego after TNC. And I remember they asked us this question. So I'm going to ask it to you because it's on my, what I always ask people. What's your superpower? What would you say is the one thing in the world that you do that sets you apart from other people out there, other influencers?
I think I'm really great at asking clarifying questions and getting clear on what a problem actually is, which is part of our masterminding formula. I do masterminds all over the world, and I've helped people build masterminds all over the world and have a best-selling book on the subject. You can check it out at 8minutemastermind.com. But I would say that's the number one thing, is like the best questioning process that I possibly can. I find that the quality of your life, like Tony says, is really equivalent to the quality of the questions you're able to ask.
Yeah, and when he says Tony, that's Tony Robbins. That's a guy that I grew up listening to his tapes. I wanted to be an NBA player, and I thought, Tony Robbins, this guy is doing it larger than life. He's impacting, influencing people all over the world. And Brad's had a chance to work with Tony, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But let's back up a little bit, Brad. You got started in your business 20 years ago. Did you wake up, one day and you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Or is this something that you started when you were young?
So it's really funny you asked that, because, my first real business was in my 20s, which wasn't 20 years ago. But my first business, my first entrepreneurial, thing, I guess, was, my dad and I lived together. He was hurt when I was about 2 years old. He was driving a lumber truck and coming down a hill one day, the load shifted and pinned him to the steering wheel, and he slipped a disc and he wasn't able to walk. So a couple of years later, mom had to leave to go find work and support us. But, I was an only child, and, I had this unfortunately disabled, father, and we were on Social Security and disability checks and just having, a real difficult time making ends meet. So anything additional that I wanted, I realized very quickly I had to find a way to earn money. And at first that was, simple kid stuff like mowing lawns. And then eventually I would just get the best job I could get. I would do entrepreneurial type jobs. I worked as a plumber's apprentice. I worked at a shooting range. I worked at a restaurant. I worked at a theme park for a little while, making Philly cheesesteak sandwich. I was just a hustler, right? So 12 on, basically, I've always been working. And when I finally had my first real adult entrepreneurial job was in my early 20s. I was a real estate agent in New York, and I founded my first company. And now it's been over a dozen years now since that happened. And it's been a really incredible journey. So over the years, I've had the fortune to have a lot of failures, which I've learned a lot from, but also a lot of successes. 3 companies now have hit the 7-figure mark, so it must be doing something right. And I've done them in different niches, and I finally found the one that allows me to have the most influence, create the most impact, and create the most income in the least amount of time. Because I think it's important that you help a lot of people in this world. I think it's important you have a lot of fun, and I think it's important that you have a lot of money to show for it at the end of the day. Because if you're missing one of those 3 things, you're going to find your life is unfulfilling.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, you just hit something right that struck a chord with me, because, I'm a basketball guy. Grew up playing basketball. I was, following Michael Jordan my whole life. I wanted to be the next Michael.
That Dream, whatever called the documentary they did on the 90s.
Yeah,
oh my God, that blew my mind. If you haven't watched that, get after it. It's great. I forget what it's called now.
Yeah, The Last Dance. Yep, Michael Jordan. So I grew up, following Jordan, and he was an inspiration to me in my life. And he did crazy stuff in his career, got to the top of the game, but he always talks about he failed because he wasn't afraid to take that game-winning shot. He wasn't afraid of the big moment, but he failed more than anybody else, but he wasn't afraid to do it. And he also succeeded more than anybody else because he was in the position more, got comfortable being uncomfortable. So you mentioned, you had some failures. You also had some big successes. We're going to get into that. But what's one failure that sticks out that you did have in your life that you overcame?
My first info products business, I lost $40,000, maybe 50 grand.
Yeah.
It was not a bad idea. It was find your New York City apartment, because I was a real estate agent and I was helping people find apartments. It's very expensive. If you've never tried to find real estate in New York City, you have to pay these exorbitant broker fees, and it's a nightmare. And all the landlords, you basically use this free labor pool that you have to pay for as the tenant. And it's a very backwards thing because there's a lot of demand for real estate. Well, maybe not right now, but generally there is. And I don't feel like New York's going anywhere long term. So it should continue to remain high. But anyway, so I make this course and I buy this domain and I build this website and I write all the copy and I do a test on Craigslist. And I'm like, this is going to be great. Tens of thousands of people are going to buy this thing. I'm going to price it $200. And I launch it. And then Craigslist shuts me down for the first time after I'd already invested all this money. Right. And then, I tried everything. And I ended up flying out to San Francisco with my friend and assistant at the time, showing up at the Craigslist headquarters, which is just a house, by the way. And like with a box of donuts and a thing of coffee, being like, I can work this out. I can make this happen. And they called the cops on me. They were ready to kick me out because they didn't want visitors. Anyway, it was very strange. So I came to realize, in retrospect, that I was directly competing with the people who pay them the most money, right? I was directly competing with their bread and butter, which is real estate agents buying, 10, 15, 20 ads a day, which were $10 a pop at that point. And then there's thousands of them around New York City to feed into this machine. And no matter how much money I could spend on that same traffic, they wouldn't give it to me. They would keep shutting me down for no really good reason. I didn't even know. It wouldn't even give me a real answer as far as the terms of service I was breaking. But that was a very frustrating experience. So I had to shutter that because I went to Google ads. There weren't even Facebook ads at the time, I don't believe.
How long ago was this?
2011, I want to say.
Okay.
It was pretty early on. And when I went to Google ads, now I'm competing for $8 clicks with Corcoran and these big real estate firms that can easily pay that because they're getting, tens of thousands of dollars or sometimes six figures on a commission. So I didn't know what I didn't know. And, here I am. I had this $200 product. I didn't know how to market it for more. I didn't know how to create webinars. I didn't know any of the stuff that we know today. We take it for granted that all this stuff is available to you. But I didn't know about webinars and how to sell webinars until Lewis Howes showed us 5 years ago or 6 years ago, right? So you learn, you live, you grow. And one of the other things I learned is that you test things rigorously with low money invested or as little money invested as possible before you try to scale them, right? You got to nail it before you scale it. You got to get real people to pay you for it before you even build it, ideally. So that's how we teach people now. And that was a huge lesson that I learned.
Yeah, that's amazing. When you get it, you're back up against the wall and things are tough, like Michael Jordan, he didn't make his sophomore team. And I always say, I made my sophomore team and that probably made me soft. And those failures, would you say that made you tougher and persevere more? And especially you're in New York City doing real estate there.
During the worst possible time, 2008 to 2010, right after the financial collapse. That made me really tough. I had awesome mentors. I had people like Bruno and Noah who were willing to take a shot on me. They had built one of the biggest top 10 real estate firms in New York in 4 years. They had 500 agents and 6 offices, and they just kept pouring into me and giving me great mentorship and training. And I was learning how to market and how to sell and how to negotiate with these big landlords and how to figure out deals and make things work that were challenging, but really engaging. But I was also letting my health fall apart. I was partying all the time. I was 24 years old at that point, and I was 30 pounds overweight. And that all changed when I went to visit my mom on Mother's Day one day. I'm on the train out to Long Island, and I get a phone call from the police officer saying my dad had been found dead. So here I am now. I'm 24, and I've been working really hard. I'd saved some money, but I realized at that moment, I got to make a change. Life's not guaranteed. And when I lost my dad, that really put me in a different direction. I'd always wanted to go into finance, and I finally started looking at that, and eventually ended up joining my first mastermind that same year. on the behest of a man named Tim Ferriss, who I spent 10 days with Africa in Africa with. So I'm with Tim on this little island called Lamu Island. And I don't know how long you want to go, but like I tell the whole story, or you can tell me to truncate it. It's fine.
Yeah, you're good.
Tim told me, hey, do you want to go to North Korea? And I'm like, North Korea? Why would I want to go to North Korea? He's like, oh, I think it would be good for you. My friend's running a trip there. It's a mastermind group. I'm like, what the hell's a mastermind group? he didn't really have a good explanation. I'm like, are you going to North Korea? He's like, nope. I'm like, why do I want to go to North Korea? I think it'd be good for you. I'm like, I'm going to skip on the whole third world dictatorship thing for now.
Yeah.
But I came back to America. I got malaria and a bunch of other crazy things happened on that trip. But I got back malaria? Oh yeah, it was brutal. Don't get malaria if you can help it. It sucks.
I'll try not to.
Yeah. So I'm back in New York and I get an email from Neil Strauss saying, hey, we just got back from North Korea. And I put 2 and 2 together because they're friends. And I called up and I'm like, hey man, how was this trip? Because I'd met him, a couple years ago. So I'm talking to the guy that was running this mastermind, Neil. And I'm like, how do I join this? I want to be a part of it. So I was like the 55th member. And in 4 years, they built it to 1,700 members with local chapters all over the world and online virtual membership to like $4.5 million in revenue. It was absurd how fast it grew. It was just the right thing at the right time for the right set of people. And that was my first real experience with masterminding, which led me to starting my first hedge fund. It led me to making changes in my body, changes in my health, changes in my peer group, my social structure. I had one guy who reached out to me as a result of that. We used to do these quarterly intensives. So we'd go for like 3, 4, 5 days, learn about something specific. And during one of the things we learned about NVC, nonviolent communication. So this guy, Josh, calls me up and he's like, hey, can you explain to me what NVC is? I don't know what that is. I listened to it, but it wasn't well explained. So I did my best to explain it to him. And he says, okay, cool. I appreciate it. Hey, I have another problem. I spend $250,000 a month on my black card and I accumulate way more airline miles than I can spend. Can you take some of these airline miles and go spend them? I'm like, yeah, man, sure. Like 300,000, sounds like a high quality problem. I'm happy to help, right? Yeah. 300,000 airline miles, go do with as you please. And I'm like, what does that even mean? He's like, oh, it's like 10 first class tickets anywhere you want to go. I'm like, great.
Oh my gosh, you hit the lottery.
I'm like around this new level of abundance. Yeah. Starting to really dial in with people who are like doing 7, 8, and 9 figures in their businesses, some of the top leading experts in their field. And realizing that, wow, this rabbit hole goes really deep. So I got to meet Tim, I got to meet Richard, I got to meet Neil, I got to spend time around these people that were all, doing really well in their field. And it just expanded my mindset. So that was a big part of masterminding. And then eventually growing masterminds and building masterminds and partnering with these experts was a huge part of my growth as well, and learning from other people's mistakes, because a fool repeats their mistakes, a genius learns, or a wise person learns from them, but a genius learns from the mistakes of others, as you know. Yeah, that's amazing. Brad, I mean, you just dropped like 10 bombs on us right there, and just in a rapid period of time. I mean, this is a Beyond Big Influence show. You were definitely being influenced and influencing people at a high level with all the stuff that you just said. So in your career, influence and networking, your influence amongst your peers, your influence amongst your customers, your influence amongst everybody that sees you on social media. What is your ideal vision for what you want to do with your influence, and how does that work? Because I've had people on the show that have like 1.3 million subs on YouTube, and then I've had people that have done billion-dollar deals that they don't want to have a channel and go live at all, like ever. So where do you kind of fit in there as far as like what Brad Hart's influence looks like amongst the world? You're touching on something really important, which I think we should preface this conversation with, which is, what are your values? Right. There's some people that don't value the spotlight, don't value influencing. There's some people that only want to do that, and they don't actually have an integrity, a system of which they can build integrity and add value, or get paid for it or any of that. They're like living on the street and they're trying to be an influencer. It's rough. So you got to find that set of values that works based on what you desire in your life. Right. And I'm not judging anybody's values. Like, there's tons of people that don't want the same things I do. But for me, it's all about those 3 things. It's about, I want to help a lot of people, I want to have a lot of fun, and I want to make a lot of money. And I find that those 3 things are, they pull away from each other. But if you can balance them, then you have a really solid life. Because I used to, when I ran my hedge fund, just to kind of continue the story, care only about money, because I grew up and we had a lot of problems that money could solve. And I felt like money could solve all my problems. If I just make a lot of money, it'll be fine. But then when I made a lot of money, we had a month where we made $1,040,000 in profit in our hedge fund. I was like, wow, that's more money than I ever thought I'd make in a very short amount of time. I all of a sudden realized I was very unfulfilled. I realized I was very disconnected. I realized I was very burned out. I realized I was doing something that I wasn't really, like I was acting like I was good at,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't my natural flow, right?
Yeah.
I was having success, which despite myself, right? But I know now that I'm more about people, relationships, networking, and growing the influence that way. So I switched gears and I built Make More Marbles 6 years ago as a blog, as like this idea I had in my head of like, I don't want to just grab for all the marbles like a trader or somebody who does in real estate deals where there's only so much to go around and we're always grabbing for what's there and competing with each other. I want to make more marbles. I want to be part of the wealth creation cycle where new ideas come out of nothing and we create a different world as a result. So Make More Marbles started out as an idea. I'm not going to be the hungry hippos and grab for all the marbles. I'm just going to make more marbles. And I'm like, that's a great name. Let's run with that. So at first the goal was to reach 1 million people. And I didn't really have like metrics for that. I didn't know how it was going to look, but I realized it took about 3 years and 1 million people had read my stuff, you know, in various different outlets. I wrote in Forbes, I wrote in my own blog, and, you know, I got interviewed a lot. And that's what happened. 3 years, 1 million people. Then with Tony and Dean with mastermind.com launch, because, you know, I've been helping people with masterminds for a long time. I jumped in with both feet on that. We were one of their top affiliate partners last year. And we reached 1 million people in 6 weeks. I was like, that's pretty cool. So what took 3 years, now all of a sudden took 6 weeks. And then just the power of partnerships exponentially increasing. This year, we became the number 8 affiliate. So top 10 out of 5,000 affiliates. And we reached 1 million people in 72 hours. So what used to take 3 years takes 3 days.
Yeah.
And that's incredible to see. Yeah. So we're just growing and growing.
Yeah. And that's what Beyond Big Influence is all about. It's like you just get momentum, you have a vision, you start creating value, you start connecting with people, you start running traffic and creating content, and just start doing these things and systematizing and growing and building an organization and a team, but making sure you're doing it within your purpose. And then pretty soon, you're reaching millions and then tens of millions, hundreds of millions, even 1 billion people out there. I've talked to people. I want to inspire 1 billion people, whether directly through my content or I inspire somebody to go out there and create content, and then all those people go out there and inspire people. So there's so many different ways. And I'm big on creating a vision, and Brad's got a massive vision too. So that's why I think we're friends.
And I want to break it down further for people, because a lot of people are just out, or they're just like not sure. Like, it's not magical, right? It's just mathematics. So we can break it down to very simple math. If you think about it, you know, if you could just get 1% better, like I'm not saying 10% better, I'm not saying 100% better, but if you could focus on getting 1% better per day in some way, somewhere, in some part of your life, personal, professional development, growing your business, growing your skills, whatever it is. 1% doesn't seem like a lot, but, and after a year, you'd be like, oh, that's 365%, right? 365 days. But it's not. It's actually compounding, right? It's 1.01 to the 365th power, which is actually 3,778% better. So you're 38 times better than where you started on day one. And 1% keeps compounding. If you just focus on 1%, 1% for me now is tens of thousands of dollars, right? 1% for Tony Robbins is millions of dollars. 1% for a billionaire is millions and millions of dollars. Look at guys like Elon Musk, who just became the 3rd richest person in the world in a matter of weeks. Because of the compounding effort of his success over time. And that's just based on his Tesla stock, not even to mention SpaceX and everything else he's got going on. So if you start now, in a decade or two, you'll be way further along. But if you don't start, you'll never get there, certainly. So just focus on 1%, and it's inevitable. It's mathematics. You'll eventually get there.
Yeah, Brad, all that stuff is amazing. You're talking about a lot of success, and you've achieved a tremendous level of success in your career already at a young age. And I know a lot of people that you work with and that you've impacted their lives have achieved a lot of success. But during that process, there are certain things that are not so easy that, you know, you've struggled with, I'm sure, to get to that point. So, you know, what are some of those things that you've had to overcome to get here? I know we talked about that before, but during that process,
it's the wounds, right? Everybody, you can't go through life without being a little traumatized by stuff that happens, right? People die, you get sick, you get hurt, people let you down, people, you know. But if you take the story, if you make the meaning of I'm not good enough, I don't belong, I don't whatever, or I'm not enough, you're always going to live in that story. And if you start recognizing that things that happen that you have no control over, You can create any meaning you want, and the meaning is what makes the difference. You can create a more empowering story. Like maybe everything that I'm challenged by is helping me grow into the person who can have the things I want and need and desire and create the impact I want to create and and have the influence I want to have. Right. But if you never start, or if you always play the victim, Gay Hendricks wrote a great book called Living Consciously, or The Art of Conscious Living, or something to that effect. And he uses a lot of Stoic principles, and he wrote that Upper Limit book. I think it's called The Big Leap. He's got like 40 books, but these are the two I've checked out recently. The main premise is like people are racing to be the victim. They're like fighting as hard as they can to maintain their story of how they're a victim in whatever it is in life, whatever that happened to them that precludes them from having what they want in life. When if they just took the same event and made a different story about it and then acted from that place, they would have way more success, way quicker, and they would get their failures out of the way. They would learn quicker, and they would get to where they want to be. Because everything in your life, and hear me now, everything in your life that you have, you need to be 100% responsible for, because you created it. Every single thing.
Yeah, I love that. Take ownership.
That's it.
There's a lot of things out there. I mean, Brad's been through a lot of challenges to get where he's at. He's learned, he's persevered, he just keeps pushing. And then pretty soon those things start turning into wins and start compounding and manifesting and growing into new partnerships and new opportunities and new relationships. So if you're out there struggling, which most people are, that's why I'm going back to that. I know we're talking about a lot of success, and some people are probably out there like rolling their eyes or saying, yeah, okay, you're making it sound so easy, yeah, whatever, and it sounds like hype. Well, there is a lot of struggle involved. I know Brad's a very hardworking individual. He's been through a lot of stuff in his life. Some stuff has probably traumatized him in some ways. Some things have just challenged him. So he's inspired. And he's also recognizing the things that are occurring, and then that just starts going to the next level and the next level and the next level. So if you're out there and you're struggling, you just got to plug into somebody or something or a system, or find yourself, or get inspired and find your path, find your niche, and make it happen.
Yeah. And motivation, guys, it comes and goes. It's like showering. You gotta motivate yourself daily. So whatever you're consuming now, consider consuming less if it's not giving you the results that you want, and consuming more of inspiring things, books, audiobooks. I mean, Audible at this point, I just checked Audible recently, and they're trying to be like the Netflix of audiobooks. So just with an Audible subscription, which is the same as a Netflix subscription, you can get access to some of the greatest books that have ever been written in audiobook form for free right now. Everything that's public domain is now on Audible for the most part. So you can listen to the stories, you can listen to the classics, you can listen to fiction, nonfiction, biographies, stuff that will help you along your journey. And I love reading ancient stuff, like Roman time stuff. You think we have it hard now? You think the world's messed up now? Try ancient Rome for size.
Yeah.
When people like where you weren't considered, above the poverty line if you didn't own at least one slave. That was how life was back then. Or, you had to go fight to survive in the streets, and, plagues would come and massacre everybody, or barbarians would come and sack the city and rape and pillage and all this crazy stuff. Like just how far we've come in a short amount of time. That's a couple thousand years. I think we have a lot farther to go. Don't get me wrong, but your life as you live in 2020 is way better than you realize. Even the pandemic that we're going through currently, which sucks, and my grandmother died of COVID, and I get it, is not nearly as bad as what my other grandmother went through when she was 7 years old. The Spanish influenza killed 650,000 Americans when there weren't that many Americans back then. Yeah. So you got to keep things in perspective too. Like, it's getting better. Life is getting better, and life doesn't get easier. It's never going to get easier, but you're going to get better in relation to life. And therefore the things that you struggled with will become inside your comfort zone. You'll get better at dealing with them, and you'll have more capacity to move forward. But you got to start. That's it. You just got to start. So if you're on your couch, if you're listening to this in your car, you're walking, you're doing whatever you're doing, I would just recommend getting on a path as slow as you go. As long as you're going and you're consistent, you're going to get there eventually. You just got to start.
Absolutely. Love all the words you're saying, Brad. I mean, just so much value packed in a tight window when I have you on here. I just know, it's like, if you're out there right now and you're loving this, share this out, because Brad, we're just getting warmed up here. We're going to go for another 20 minutes or so. And this man is dropping some bombs. So make sure you share this out, click the like, drop a comment. Let us know where you're at. We're getting people saying, wow, oh my gosh, like they're getting excited out there, Brad. So
thank you so much for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. I'm grateful for the love and the affection. And if you want to keep the journey going, you want to keep the conversation going, you can check out my book, The 8-Minute Mastermind. You go to 8minutemastermind.com.
Let me pop that up there for you guys.
And check it out. If you ever wanted to serve people in a way that you don't need a lot of inventory, or you don't need to be an expert, you don't need to be somebody who is like world renowned. All you really need to start a mastermind is the desire to serve people and solve their problems and learn. If you desire to serve people, solve their problems and learn, and you want to make some money for learning, like I've learned so many incredible skills by hosting my own masterminds and bringing in experts and bringing in people who paid us, me and the experts, to learn. And they ask better questions. They take better notes. I learn and grow and get networked with incredible people that have helped me build, 7-figure businesses. It's not outside of your realm. You can start doing that right now. And I teach you how in my book. So check that out. That's a small commercial. I just want to impact more people. So go check it out at 8minutemastermind.com. We do a free plus shipping offer, meaning we'll send you the book. You just pay for the shipping. And if you're somewhere else in the world, you don't want to wait for it, you can get a digital copy as well at 8minutemastermind.com/PDF. Or we'll also give you the digital book if you just buy the regular book, and you'll be in your inbox in a few minutes.
Awesome, Brad. So we got it scrolling down below, just right down here, guys. Just check it out somewhere down
in the internet somewhere
right there.
There
boom,
it is.
boom, boom. Okay, so check it out. Get his book, guys. Brad's got tons of knowledge. He's obviously knows what he's doing in a lot of different ways. I know he's worked with tons of different people and he's experienced the world at a high level. One thing you talked about, Brad, was learning. Okay. So I'm not a big person of reading books myself. It's more like audio, or I watch video. I like, I just grew up, that's kind of visual.
Totally.
So, and you said Netflix, and a lot of people are consuming that, and there's a lot of garbage on there. So you're probably going to need to figure out where you're going to spend your time, find the right knowledge, and start consuming that. What do you recommend for somebody that's kind of like me, that's maybe more visual, or, just talk about learning a little bit and like how you've consumed information, because that's a big part of your success, I know.
That's a great thing. If you ever studied NLP, they teach you about visual learners, auditory, kinesthetic learners, people that learn by doing and feeling. And they're all valid. You just need to know which one you are, and then you can get yourself more engaged. Like audio, for me, I have to really focus on audio. It doesn't just seep into my brain. I like to I take a lot of notes when I listen to books too, which helps me, because if I see it, even if I never read those notes again, it's in my brain for whatever reason. It's there. So I know that about myself, and therefore I tend towards the audio or the video. I also love YouTube videos, but I know YouTube is a freaking rabbit hole. And every time I go on YouTube, hours later, and what the hell happened to my life? So I don't go out there that much.
You got to be careful.
Yeah. Without an intention. Right. So that's important when you're going on these platforms, make sure you have an intention. But I love audiobooks because they allow me to read, but I'm not actually physically focused on the book. So I would recommend finding how you learn first, then finding a medium. There's tons of great mediums to bring in information that's not going to get you squirreled out down another rabbit hole of cat videos or whatever the hell else is out there. You can easily waste a lot of time. And I'm not like against being entertained. I just say, get your priorities out of the way first, and then reward yourself with the entertainment, right? And it doesn't have to be 100 priorities. If there's 100 priorities, there's no priorities, right? So I would say 3 things to 5 things tops on an index card each day will help you move that 1% forward. And these things will get bigger and bigger and bigger, higher impact, higher income as you go, and you'll get better at delegating as well. So I'd make an index card at the end of every day of what I'm going to knock out the next day. My team's on board, my assistants, my VAs, everybody's on board, and we're all pushing forward in the same direction with the goal of getting 3 to 5 things knocked out per day. And then if we get them knocked out in 2 hours, we're done. If we get them knocked out in 6 hours, then we're done, right? If it takes a long time, it takes a long time. We prioritize better next time. But it's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. And I know you've heard that before, so don't let that pass out of your brain. But that's what that looks like, is working smarter by really chunking down to, here's a few questions that you can ask too, to get way more productive really quickly. I borrowed one from Tim Ferriss, which is, what thing would make everything else easier or irrelevant if I did it now? And then I like also to think, what's the scariest thing for me to do, and try to do that first. What scares me the most? And then go do that first. Because once that's done, everything else is a breeze. But everybody puts priorities together and then does the easy stuff that's brainless. You should use the most brain power on the stuff that will make you grow the most, or that will make the most impact first, and then everything else becomes easier, and it's a slide down to the end of the day when you're like, I'm done,
Yeah, no, I love that, because one of the things I like going on fast roller coasters, skydiving, bungee jumping, because I was like deathly afraid of heights growing up. But now it's like I go on these rides and I go up there. I'm like, this feels good. It's like I'm getting out of my comfort zone. I feel like energized. Your adrenaline's going. Now I'm like an adrenaline junkie. Everybody that knows me, they're like, that's all you want to do is like drive fast and stuff. And I know Tony Robbins, he takes you on a journey and then he has you walk on fire, right? And then you leave the event feeling like, if I can walk on fire, I can walk up to this person and sell my course to them. I can go sell my book online and get 1 million sales. I can go do this. I can go do that. And you feel like, man, if I can do that, I can do anything. That's right. So I feel like, is that what, do you spend some of your time saying, all right, I'm going to do this, even if I'm scared of it? I'm just going to get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm just going to go for it. Like, how often do you see yourself doing that?
When you get disciplined enough, I feel like you actually love, like it's just a sick obsession I have with like trying to find something that's going to push me to be bigger and like, really grow in myself, and grow my capacity as a human being. What Jocko Willink would call an eminently qualified human. And if you haven't read his books yet, they're awesome for this kind of stuff. Like Discipline Freedom is one of my favorite books. He's got a new one called The Code, The Principles, The Ethics, or something like that.
What's his name? Say it again.
Jocko Willink, Jocko Willink. He was a leader of a SEAL platoon in Battle of Ramadi in Iraq, and a couple other big skirmishes in the last war. And he's just an incredible man. I met him before. His forearm's the size of my head. He's just a massive individual. But yeah, he's the kind of guy that you're glad that they're out fighting the war so you can sleep soundly at night.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be a great place to start too.
Awesome. So you guys are out there trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do this week? What am I going to do with my life? If you're trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life right now, we need to do some soul searching. We need to go inside. Brad, how much of this is like personal growth and development would you relate to your success?
It's a lot of it. I mean, everything you're doing every day, and this is like an easy question for me, because everything you're doing every day should be on the track of, I'm getting 1% better, right? Somewhere in my life.
Yeah.
It's 1% better at taking notes. Like, it could be a simple thing. 1% better at asking questions, 1% better at selling, 1% better at marketing, 1% better at writing, 1% better at keeping my commitment, communicating effectively, being nice to my wife or husband or whatever, my kids, getting a little bit better at parenting. Wherever you're growing, as long as you're hitting that 1%, that's your quota. And that'll compound over time. So, to answer your question, I think it's all love, man. It's all personal. It's all professional. It's all growth. And that's why I love running masterminds, because, people come in with business stuff, but people don't really have business problems. They have life problems that show up in their business.
Yeah, I agree with that
when
one.
You solve those problems, the core foundational stuff, everything else gets easier.
Amazing knowledge you're dropping, Brad. I mean, people out there right now, this is a tough time we're going through in the world, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunities. When there's chaos, when there's things going on that are difficult, those are the opportunities where we can go and help solve problems. And this is where we're really tested and our purpose can be put to the test. Yeah. So, yeah.
And people need leadership now more than ever. And to be a leader, all you have to do is step up and say, I'll go first. That's it. Yeah. Say, I'll go first. And even if you fail, you're still led.
Yeah. I love that. So that's awesome. I have a question for you that came up before when I was thinking about when you were talking. So do you have like a daily routine that you do, Brad? Is that
yeah, can you talk about that? Menu now? Because you know how it gets. It's like some people have a routine that's like their whole day, right? It's 3 hours. I'm like, this is too much. So now I have a menu. I pick 2 or 3 things from the menu every day, and there's meditation on there. I have this really cool headband. I can show it to you. This headband. I'm really.
You can put it on. I mean, you don't have to, but
yeah, I'll just wear it for the rest of the interview. But yeah, it's a headband that tracks your brain waves, and pretty cool. I've been really getting a kick out of it. I also have a link if you guys want to check it out right there. And I couldn't meditate before. Like, this was the game changer for me. I got the Oura ring, which helped me with my sleep, and I saw how much it improved and how diligent I was about like testing things and like, oh, what if I don't eat before bed, or what if I drink more water or less water? Or what if I, take a shower before bed? Or what if I take a cold shower in the morning? What if I, take this supplement? And then seeing how much my sleep improved, I'm like, what if I could do that for meditation? So when Alex Sharfin told me about this Muse headband, I was all into it. I'm like, this is great. And I went on like a streak where I meditated for up to 30 minutes a day for like a month, and it changed everything. So now I don't meditate every single day, or I try to get at least a little bit in every single day, but it's this thing, I can do that completely shifts my energy in 20 minutes, and it makes everything that I'm going to do for the rest of the day that much easier. It quiets my anxiety, because I tend to run anxious. Some people run depressed. I tend to run anxious. I do get depressed from time to time. But if you have these kind of touchstones in your life that you can go back to when you're not feeling 100%, exercise is a huge one for me. I work out 6 days a week, and I like to switch up my workouts too. So like since COVID happened and all the gyms shut down, like 24-hour fitness has gone bankrupt, and it was down the street for me. So now I'm doing all my workouts at home. I did the Seal Fit Challenge. I'm doing Beachbody now. I did F45 for a little while. It's just having those things that are consistent and you never miss, and then having the things that you can kind of flex and flow on, more like a self-care menu, if you will. I'm going to do 1 or 2 or 3 of these things every day. As long as you do something, I think that's solid. And if you're in a great state, get right after it. If you're not in a great state, you know how to shift your emotional state just like that, because you have your menu.
Yeah, that's amazing, Brad. I love working out. I think that's the key for me. I grew up playing sports, so working out just part of my life, just competing and being on a team and working with teams and competing, keeping a positive attitude. I think that's really important, just to keep your brain focused on positive things. The more negative stuff that seeps in and you really adopt that stuff, that's going to show up in your life. So yeah, this is all amazing stuff.
Yeah. And Tony said it best. I mean, if you can change your focus, your physiology, and your language, your whole emotional state will shift. So an easiest one to shift is your body. Just change what you're doing with your body and you'll be all set.
Absolutely. So if people out there right now, they're just getting started as an entrepreneur, can you give them a few tips from your perspective on how they can start monetizing what they're doing, even if it's just small, just to pay their bills? I mean, some people are struggling out there. They probably need those words,
If you are just starting or making less than 6 figures, 80% of what you're doing should be focused on learning, marketing, and sales. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
If you're not making 6 figures yet, it's because you don't yet know how to market and sell effectively.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be the best in the world, but you got to be good enough to where you have qualified interested leads, you can make an offer, and you can close the deal. If you can't do that, you can't make money as an entrepreneur, period.
Yeah.
You're always going to work for somebody else. And when you get good at that, then you can start to think about, okay, how do I need to develop? How do I need to grow? What kind of person? Because you should be, learning about leadership. You should be learning about, other communication styles, about NLP, about all these different things that will help you be more effective at doing those things. But like 80% of the game in the beginning is marketing and sales. And that's the thing that nobody wants to focus on, because it's scary and it feels slimy to them because of their beliefs around money, around rich people, around life, around whatever. Doesn't matter, right? But it's not true. The people who market and sell the best are the people who influence the world the best. And if you're listening to a podcast on influence and you want to have a big impact in this world, you need to learn how to market and sell, because it's not just about selling products or services. It's about being able to have your ideas listened to and considered, and rolling people into a possibility that they want to work with you or move forward on your cause. And if you can't do that, you can't do anything in life, because you can't do anything by yourself. Somebody out there holds the keys to what you want to create.
Absolutely.
And if you're not going to create it.
Yeah. Somebody asked this question or made this comment. I don't know who it is. It just says Facebook user on my thing, but they said, you say it changed everything. Can you give some examples? I don't know what they were referring to. Maybe
if you're still there, you'd like to just pop another note to us and let us know what we're talking about. That would be helpful.
I'm just showing you guys, we're here to help you out. We're here to answer your questions. We're here to help you move forward.
Specific as you can create your question. That would be excellent.
Yeah, Brad's a very giving, heart-centered individual. That's one thing I love about the guy. He does a weekly mastermind on Wednesday nights, just local, just meeting with people. And, he's just always there to support people and help them and to connect them. So we're here to support you guys. So just wanted you to know that. So, yeah, Brad, it's amazing to have you on, man.
Do you want to end here, or do you want to keep going for a little bit?
No, we'll keep going.
All right, rock on.
So yeah.
What I hear, like, I have this weird uncanny ability. Like, I'm a mismatcher. I see what people don't say, or I see the thing underneath the thing that they think they said.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I hear a question like that, can you give me some examples? You are looking for more evidence. Oh, meditation. Okay, great.
Meditation. Yep.
Yeah, you're maybe looking for more evidence to get convinced to do a certain thing. So, but to give you different examples of how meditation shaped my life, I'm not as reactive. I take my time in considering things more. I'm more relaxed throughout the day. I'm sleeping better. I'm not on caffeine anymore. I don't drink any coffee or caffeine anymore. And that's been huge for me, all by switching from those habits to this new habit, which meets my needs in a different way, which is meditation. So to answer your question, but yeah, I'm wondering, if you're having a struggle with anything in your life, find a way to get leverage on yourself. Like this little device helped me get leverage on myself and actually do the thing, because now I had data, I was tracking it. I was seeing it from a perspective of like, okay, I'm here and I want to get to here. When you're just saying, oh, on or off, and you haven't really given it its due, or you haven't given yourself a challenge where it's like, I'm going to do this every day for 30 days, no matter what, then you don't really know how good it can be. Like the first time I quit drinking, I realized somebody challenged me to stop drinking for 30 days. And I realized I hadn't not had a drink in 30 days since I was 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
25 or 6 at that point. I'm like, whoa, that was my wake up call. I'm like, okay, 30 days, I can do that. And then I did it. And, I'm not saying everybody can do that. There's actual alcoholics out there that are like, oh man, I would die if I had the DTs or whatever. I'm not talking about that. But if you're like a casual drinker and you haven't taken 30 days off drinking, you have no idea what it feels like to go that for 30 days. And now it's been years and years, and my life has never been the same. I have more energy. I don't have hangovers anymore. I'm hanging out around different people. I'm more productive. I'm making more money. Like there's so much to it. It's like especially with regard to earning money.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has an alma mater when it comes to earning money. It's called UNK. It's the University of Not Knowing. There are the things that you don't know that you don't know. Mm-hmm. And you're writing a check to this university every year for the tuition, which is the difference between what you should be making and what you are making.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be making $1 million and you make 100,000. You're writing a big old check to UNK, your alma mater, for $900,000 a year.
Yeah.
So what's going to have to shift for you to really live up to your potential? And I'm not just saying money, but impact, right? Because impact, you can't really track that as much. It's harder to track that, but you can track dollars, and dollars equal impact, unless you're stealing or doing something illegal. But generally, if you're offering goods and services that help people and benefit people, and you're making money that way, then the more you earn, the more impact you're having, and it's helping people.
Awesome, man. That's all great information. I feel like Brad's full of a lot of tactical things that can make a shift happen. And he's talked about his secret sauce for like every aspect of his life. The one thing that we haven't talked too much about, and you mentioned the most important thing, is your ability to make sales, your ability to do marketing and to make sales. And I know you've done an amazing job with that. And I see a lot of influencers out there. They can get 1 million followers, but they're not that great at building a funnel. They're not that great at building a sales system and creating offers. They sell other people's stuff. They don't really understand how to do that. Can you just give us in a small little tutorial, or I don't know how you want to explain it, but a good sales system that you've used?
Absolutely. And it's changed over the years. So with any one of my clients, I would start with a very basic sales funnel. Like, hey, we're figuring out our offer. We're going to do market research calls with people who know, like, and trust us to see what problems of theirs we can solve. We do as many as we need to get clear on 3 problems, right? And we put our offer together and we come up with features and we tie them to benefits, emotionally or otherwise, that people need and want in order to do that. And this could be a product or a service, right? You want to focus on the benefit. What does that mean for them? How does that emotionally matter to them? Because people aren't buying logically, they're buying emotionally and justifying with logic.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Small purchase, big purchase, doesn't matter. You buy Starbucks because you want to feel good. You buy Apple products because you want to feel a certain way. You get a hit of serotonin because you feel like you're making it in life. You have this cool new iPhone, right? So you focus on the emotion, focus on the experience of ownership of people acquiring something, and really get clear on what their problems are and what will that mean when that is gone. Because you start with the problem and you move to the solution. You basically have to bucket it as, where are you? Where do you want to go? And what's the gap that you need to clear? Can you clear it on your own? No? Okay, great. We have this product or the service that's going to get you from A to B. And that's it. That's sales. That's all it is. And there's a lot more to it than that, certainly. But that's the basic goalposts, if you will, of what selling is. So, that's a very basic funnel, is market research to a sales call to a close. A more elaborate funnel you can check out at the link. It's 8minutemastermind.com. We have free stuff. We have books. We have upsells. We have downsells. We have webinars. We have all kinds of cool stuff going on in the background because people are at different places. And I'm sending lots of traffic through this funnels, lots of people who want to learn this stuff. And some of them are just starting out. Some of them don't know, like, and trust me. They've never heard of me before. And they might consider looking at some free stuff or buying a book, which is low cost, right? And then some people are like, I know, like, and trust you enough, or I really want to work with the expert, and I agree that you're the expert. I want to work with you, and they buy our top stuff. So we need different ways to interact with different people. So when you get really sophisticated in marketing, you have different offers for different people based on where they're at in different parts of their journey. So I'm just giving a basic example and a very advanced example because I want to show you, like, there's different levels to this game. So start at level 1 and work your way up.
Yeah. I think it comes down to give an amazing amount of value. You create the value for your people. You demonstrate that value. We show the proof. You say, hey, you want to dive in deeper? Here's an offer. You just make an offer, but you got to connect emotionally with them, and just telling your story and connecting with somebody so they can know, like, and trust you. And I know these are some of the things that you've been talking about. Is going to create that bridge, and Gary said, become the bridge. Exactly. That's it. And make an offer, really. And don't be afraid. It sounds
complex, but in reality, it's very different. It's very simple. It's like, find people who have money, who want to solve a problem that they have, and create a solution to that problem, and collect said money that they were willing to spend on it. And on the demand curve, there's a million people that'll pay $1 for something, and one person will pay $1 million for something. Find that sweet spot where you have enough customers to sustain your business, and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to find them.
Yeah.
And time and money.
I always say too, Brad, find people that believe in themselves because they'll invest in themselves.
That's right.
People that want you to win just as bad as you want to win, because if they want you to win, they're going to help you and not just retract from you. They're not just take all your energy. They're going to, like, push you forward. You're going to help each other create that good bond. And then if they have money and they can at least invest in what you have, I mean, if you spend your time looking for the right people as well, you create the right value, you're going to have an easier time building something big. So
I think Roger James Hamilton told me, I had lunch with him at a mastermind that Peter Diamandis put on, and he said something that was really cool. It's really about plumbing. It's like money is flowing all over the world all the time. There's trillions of dollars moving. It's about creating plumbing, which is the value creation systems, and creating that value differential where they trade their money for your solutions, and making it more and more and more streamlined, more and more automated, more and more leverageable, and being able to scale it to multiple people. And that's the gift of being an entrepreneur, is being able to continue to grow and change and evolve to serve more and more people. Now we're serving, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people a month, soon thousands and thousands, and then tens of thousands. And I can just see it compounding over time, because now we have systems that allow me to not have to be there for every single person that does every single thing.
Absolutely. And also it's about building the system and building the team so you can take on more clients and you can help people. If you create those systems, then you'll figure out ways to get more people into that system. I didn't really realize how important the back end of a business was until I got enough people in, and then those people fell on their face. And then I'm like, man, even if I got more people in, it would have been worse. And then I had to stop doing marketing, and then the whole business was suffering. So you got to think about the whole system from the front end and the back end while you're doing it. So
yeah, that's a great point, Jesse. And we've all been there from time to time. I've had the fortune of, I think both grew similarly. I didn't ever have a situation where I was totally flat on my face, thankfully. But I'm willing to work as hard as I need to work. Like, I'm committed to getting my clients results, but they can't want it more than I do. Right? They have to show up as much as I show up. And that's really the key there. And the more you can show up, the more people can show up for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is all great information, guys. I'm going to post Brad's link again. Make sure you get in, check it out. It is 8minutemastermind.com to get his book, go through his system. And you're going to get a lot of value in there packed in, just like he did today. Go back and rewatch this 10 times, send it to your friend, have them get inspired by somebody like Brad. Brad is an amazing guy. I met him. I remember how outgoing he was at the party. It was like a mastermind, then a party. I remember he was dressed up. He was like having fun. The guy's just full of energy, just a cool guy to be around, and a guy that I want in my corner. So thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks everybody for listening. I don't see anybody's name, so I would say thank you personally, but I'm so grateful. If you want to reach out to me on Facebook, I'm at facebook.com/Brad Hart. That's BRADART. No
right
E.
there, guys.
Yeah, that's it. And I'd love to hear from you. If you check out the book, if you have thoughts, if you want to reach out to me, I love hearing from people. So feel free to reach out.
Yeah, reach out there. And we stream this on 8 different channels, 2 of my YouTube channels, a couple Facebook group, a few different Facebook pages. So if you guys want to leave a comment and tag Brad, I'm sure he'll see it and he can go over and check it out and connect with you. So yeah. Thanks for coming on, Brad. It was an amazing interview, man. So much knowledge. Anybody tuning in just got a lot of good inspiration and good things to try in their life to move themselves forward in all aspects, personal growth as well as business. And getting inspired by Brad and his story is something that I think everybody needs to do, because you're just a cool guy, man. And I can't wait to see you. Definitely got to come to your Wednesday night deal here soon. We got to connect.
Absolutely. Oh, pickleball. That's the new thing I've been doing. If you haven't heard of pickleball, check it out. You're up for it?
A couple times. Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, let's go play sometime. I'm getting a court on Saturday.
Oh, you are? Nice. Yeah, I'm down, because I'm down to link up. So what are the last words of wisdom, inspiration for the people? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm sure you'll come up with it, because you're just
always have a different one. Today, what's coming up for me is, you can have everything you want in life, but you can't have it all at once. So just focus on the one thing, get it, and then go to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. I think everybody wants it all and they want it now, and they can have it all. They just have to expand their consciousness around how long it might take. But life is short, roughly, so you'll get it all in if you work at it.
Absolutely. Be in the present, guys. Don't look too far in the future and think about the past, dwell on the past. Just think about the present moment, right?
Can't change what happened, but you can change what will happen. That's for sure. You can
absolutely.
There we go. Influence what will happen.
There you go. Influence what will happen. It's the Beyond Big Influence show with Jesse Dobeck, special guest Brad Hart. Find him on Facebook and check him out. Go to his 8minutemastermind.com, the number 8minutemastermind.com. Get his book and take your life and your business and everything you're doing to the next level. All right, guys. Until next time.
Bye, guys.
We'll see you soon. All right. Take care. Bye.